Hello, this is Mr. B. I wanted to show you some introductory material and information about Google Sheets so that you can learn some basic things about how to work with Google Sheets. First of all, when you go to Google, you can go to Google Sheets or any of your Google apps very quickly by clicking on this 3x3 array of dots here. Those are all your Google apps, forms, and docs, and sheets, and the Drive, and slides, and Google Classroom. It's all here. So we want to click on Google Sheets, and it'll open up. I'm going to clean one here. Fresh Google Sheets, Untitled. We're just going to title this. You can click up here and just say Practice. So here's practice. So what you're looking at is called a spreadsheet. Google Sheets is a spreadsheet application, which is a lot like Microsoft Excel. So maybe you've heard of Microsoft Excel. Your parents may work with Microsoft Excel where they work. Microsoft Excel is much more powerful than Google Sheets. So companies would work with Excel. They probably are not working with Google Sheets. I would love to teach you on Excel. However, most of our computers at school here are Chromebooks, and Chromebooks only will run the Google Sheets, not Microsoft Excel. So if you learn some things on Microsoft Excel, they easily transfer to, while we learn here on Google Sheets, they will transfer, a lot of that will transfer to Microsoft Excel. So if you learn this here, you'll probably know a lot about Microsoft Excel. So for one thing, I want to begin by explaining what we're looking at right here. We're looking at a lot of columns that are lettered, and then rows that are numbered like this. And it's an array of what we call cells. So every little rectangle here is a cell, and we can name these cells. Every cell has their name, and it is the column and row. So this is cell B3. And then this is cell D2. And you can kind of see them because they highlight, or they kind of darken right here, so it's easy to see their address. It's what we call the cell address. So I'm going to ask you to do some things and to follow along with me. Not just watch this video, which you're free to do, but open up a Google Sheet, a blank Google Sheet like this one, and follow along. Hit pause when you need to hit pause so that you can kind of experiment with it and work along with it and learn the basics of Google Sheets so that we can do more advanced stuff later. So when you open up a Google Sheets, click on cell, this is a quick test, okay, ready? Click on cell C10. Where's C10? It's right here, of course. C10 is right there. So C and 10. Now you can also select a group of cells by clicking and dragging. So if I wanted to go from B6, I would click and hold the button down, and then I can drag, and you'll see that you can select a large group of cells like this. So let's type something into these cells. So if you select a cell where you want something to be typed, you can type in words. Make sure they're spelled correctly. You could type in numbers, and you can type in any combination of words and numbers just like this. Notice how they're lined up. We've got the words over here lined up along the left-hand side and the numbers over here on the right-hand side. So what if we wanted these lined up differently? So we can align the text here with these buttons up here. These are our formatting buttons, and this is our alignment, our horizontal alignment. So we can click this and we can say, well, let me select these three right here. So let me change this one. This has too much in it. Let's do that. Whoa, okay. So let's select these three right here and say I want them all to be left-hand aligned. So now they're all on the left-hand side, and of course we can make them right-hand or center aligned as well. So a lot of times I like them center aligned, just if I'm making a table and I want them nice and centered like this. We can, let me put a number in. Try this. In B6, type in the number 1 with a period, kind of like I'm numbering something, and then hit enter, and you'll notice the period disappears right there. Or let's do this. Type in 1.000. I want that. And 0.00 disappears at this point because it is automatically simplifying that decimal number. Well, what if I want that to be there, though? I don't want it to disappear. So we can format the numbers in different ways. So if we click on Format, format basically means how something looks. Bold, italic, underline, all these are formatting, changing the size, which, by the way, are along this bar up here as well. But here we see the word number and an arrow, which means there are more options down here. And if we want to appear in the cell exactly what we type, we can hit plain text. Plain text. Now if I type 1.000 and hit enter, that's exactly what stays right there. You'll notice there are other options for numbers too. We can change to percents. Maybe I want it to display. So 1 as a percent, 1.00 is 100%. Just like this. So let me just change it back to just automatic. How's that? All right, and we can delete all of these just by selecting whatever you want to delete, hit the delete key, and the contents will disappear right here. So let's just kind of play around with formatting right here. Now here's the word the. All right, I've already centered it, so the formatting stays. The contents were deleted, but the formatting still stays. We can make this bold print, italics. We can change the color of the font. So there's all these options. The cell, we also can change the color of the cell, the fill color. So let's see what would go with that beautiful orange. Maybe the text, let's make a darker orange like that. And there's a border. We can make borders around it as well. Over here we have our options for the thickness of the line, maybe a thick border, and here we can have border color, and then here is where we want the border, just underneath it, or on the side, or all around it. So we're just going to go all around it in this case. So that's what it looks like right now. Let's do some other experiments. Now you can pause at any time. Pause this video and kind of experiment on your own and then come back to this video. Let's move a cell. Let's say I didn't want this on C4. I want to move it somewhere else. Notice my cursor. My cursor inside the cell is an arrow, but when I go to the edge of the cell, it turns into a hand, right? So I can click here, do a left click, and the hand, you can see the fingers kind of grab it, and then we can move it somewhere else. Let's move it down here. And so now we've just moved that cell. We can move it anywhere we want. So practice kind of moving things. You have to get right on the edge until you see the hand appear, and then grab it and move it. Now what if we just wanted to copy the cell right underneath it? You can copy that cell. Notice that this little square, kind of a bold square right there. And if we want to copy these contents right below it or next to it, we can grab that square. So the cursor now is a plus sign. And if I click and drag, it just copy paste real fast. And it copy pastes wherever you can go over, like this. I didn't go over, here you go over that way. Or you can go down, so you can make lots and lots of copies. Now you can also select a cell and then click Control C, that's a copy, and you can move over here and do Control V, as in Victor. Control C copies, Control V will paste it down there as well. So those are other ways to copy and paste. Now, if I want to delete these, I can select all of these. My button doesn't work sometimes. Here we go. Select all these and hit delete. Now notice the formatting has not changed. So if I want to get rid of the formatting, I have to go in to the borders and select no borders. Get rid of those. I have to go into the fill color and say, well, go back to white here. And then now it looks like it normally was. So you have to undo the formatting that you created there. Let's show you how Google Sheets, as well as Excel, can identify a pattern. So if I selected one, let's say I just wanted to kind of type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and number a bunch of things. Well, that's a pattern, counting by ones. If I selected, or if I typed in a 1, and then I clicked on this corner square and I went down, it would copy what was in that cell, make a copy of it, right? That's what it does. Okay, let me go back here and get rid of that. But if I started a pattern like 1, 2, now I'm creating a pattern that Google Sheets can recognize. And if I were to then grab that, I selected both of them. Notice this, I selected both of these, clicked and dragged, and then I grabbed that little square thing and moved it down. Google Sheets recognizes the pattern that I'm adding 1 each time, and then it will continue that pattern as I went down. You can do the same thing for even numbers, like 2, start off counting by even numbers, 2, 4, and let's see if Google Sheets recognizes the even numbers. So I select both cells, I put my cursor on that square and drag down, and it does. It recognizes that I'm adding 2 each time. What if I started with 1 and I just did odd numbers and then I added 2? So 1, 3, select both. All right, you try this. Tell me if it works. Pause and try it out. All right, here, let's see if we can get that to work here. There you go. It actually would recognize that pattern. So you can make any patterns, adding any numbers. So really, if I thought about multiples of 6, the next multiple is 12, and all I have to do is start off with a couple of multiples and then drag down. What if I was trying to find the least common multiple of 6 and let's say 9? So here's 9, well the next one's 18. I practically pretty much got the answer right there, but you could do multiples like this and then say, oh, okay, 18 is in both of these. What if I had to do 6, 9, and 12? If I just start off with the first 2 multiples, so what's the least common multiple of all 3 numbers? Well, here we'd have to look around and say, well, 36, 36, 36, those 3. So that's an easy way of finding multiples. Let's look at other examples of patterns. Let me get rid of all these. Type in the word Monday. Okay, what happens if you just grab this and extend it down? You try this. You tell me what happens. Okay, so pause this video. Try this. All right, let's take a look. Unpause. Here we go. Monday, and then it recognizes. Try that with, I'm not going to do it, you try it with January. Do the same thing, see what happens if you, when you select and you do that. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you a task. Oh, by the way, let me also show you how to change the size of these cells. So if you want to change all of these cells to be thin, or you can select cell B, or I'm sorry, column B like this, and then notice that when I'm up here in B, I've got a hand, and then if I go to the, I don't want the arrow, I don't want that. I want to go right on the edge. See how the border turned blue between B and C? And then if I get right there, I've got a double arrow. If I left click and then drag it over, it will change the size of that column. I may want to have a larger row. So I can put my cursor on the edge. I got the blue line and the double arrow, and then click that, make that a larger. Here I would definitely want to align these. We can vertically align these by using the vertical align button up here. So now it's in the middle, but it's not centered. So we would want to click this, center it. We've got centered, we've got vertically aligned. Now we're ready to make a table.